Hey y'all, so I'm back, and this is more so just me sharing with you all. So Wednesday, today is Friday, um, March 17th, 2023. So Wednesday on the 15th, I was traveling, and when I'm alone in the car, I turn down the music and everything, and you know, it's just me and the Lord, and we're just talking. So, um, and I'm just going to flow with this. I don't know if I'm going to read all of this because this is coming from Genesis, but, and it's rather long. But, I just asked him, Lord, what do you have for me today? What do you want to, place on your daughter's heart? And he just began to speak about healing. And, um, and I said, okay, well, what is it with about healing that you want to share with me? And he just began to speak and say that, even though you have, and this word, he particularly went back to my spouse as well as, some family and people that, he has separated me from. And he just began to speak, and he said, although that you have forgiven them, he said, and I've taken you through a whole healing process. He said, when this restoration comes together, not just with your spouse, although that is, you know, what I'm doing right now, there's going to be a restoration within other connections that he has separated me from. Um, so he said, and a part of the reconciliation will be where you will go back through a process that is kind of similar to, when you first started this journey, and I worked on your heart with forgiveness. Um, there are going to be things that the Lord, He spoke to me pertaining to me and my spouse, that He's going to um, have us open up. I mentioned the other day that I'd even at the beginning tried to engage into a whole relationship with someone else. The Lord wants us to bring that stuff to the forefront, things that my spouse has done, while living this prodigal lifestyle. Those things are going to have to surface and be discussed in order for you all to take the next step. Um, and, with my preparation period of even getting to that part of having to hear details and word for word, he has already placed me in counseling. There are things the Lord wants me to focus on and work on. And, we're even going to be doing couples counseling. Again, there's processes the Lord has had me also doing and reading to prepare for this time. Um, my husband even asked me, like, what book are you reading? When I told him, he asked me, well, can I get it when you finish? These are things that the Lord is working on with you and your spouse. They may not be the exact same thing that's going on with me. However, he is giving you instructions as well, but he's just saying that, like, he just spoke to me and said, there's going to be a whole new healing process, because some things you don't know that took place with one another, and it's gonna hurt, because at first, everything is going to be like, oh, you're back, like when the prodigal son returned to his father. The father threw a whole party. It was a celebration. So, you're going to be happy and filled with joy when the Lord restores this. However, there's gonna come those moments when the two of you deal with the facts, the hard facts of, okay, things that took place, the honesty that's gonna come in, because the Lord is telling you, you're gonna be honest. You're not gonna be and your spouse is going to be honest. You're not going to be dealing with, any hidden secrets. It's going to be a revealing. So he just spoke to me about that and let me know that, to take my mind back to that. He had spoken to me before and he said, I want you to understand, and he's a father to where our God is not going to just leave us out back wondering and guessing. He prepares you. That is the good thing about the Lord. He prepares you. So like I mentioned, I'm already in my counseling sessions. I started that a few months ago, but it's helping work on me to prepare me for how to deal with these situations when they in conversations when they do arise, so that it won't be taken a different route of out of like anger or resentment, even resentment towards the Lord. Like, why did you bring this back together when you knew what he was out here doing? Or, he could look at it like you knew what she was out here doing while I was doing this. All of that, so that we can prepare ourselves. The Lord, and He prepares us, but to get yourselves together and remain focused on the overall just of this, which is the Lord, Him getting the glory. There are going to be certain things that you have to work through. So that is something that He spoke to me about. And, He referenced even with Joseph in Genesis, how when the brothers returned, and you know, go back and read. So I'm not going to read all of that. Um, it's a lot of chapters of Joseph and his brothers, but and Joseph in general. So go back and read all of those chapters pertaining to the story of Joseph and his brothers. But even when they returned, Joseph knew who they were when they didn't know who he was. And, there was Joseph broke down crying. And, you're going to resemble that as well. Um, but the Lord wants you to keep in mind that you're human. You're going to have to work through the process of healing all over again, all over again. And just as well as Joseph, Joseph broke down and he's like, you're telling me my father is still alive? Like, think about how that felt for him to face the brothers that mistreated him and misused him. But he said, you know what? Don't even feel bad about what you done, because what you done, I mean, what happened to me wasn't from your doing. It is what the Lord allowed so that He could use me to save you. And I hope y'all catch all of that and put it in the same perspective of when your prodigals return. And, like the Lord has told me, there's going to be so many apologies. I have received apologies, but they're not the genuine apologies that I know the Lord has spoken to me about. Because again, he's still going through this whole stripping that the Lord is taking him through. So any feedback that he's giving me right now, I'm listening, but the Lord is letting me know when it's him actually speaking. So um, that right there, the Lord had highlighted to me, like, just reassure him and let him know, like, no, regardless of what happened between the two of us, this separation had to be done in order for the Lord to get the glory, for him to place me in the position that he placed me in, and to remove all these things from me. I've had a whole stripping done within myself that the Lord has done. He had to do this. He had to do this in order to get us where we need to be, so we can represent him. We can represent him, and others could see how he took us two apart, pulled us apart. We went through battle after battle after battle, to where the whole thing looked completely dead. And it was false start after false start after false start. Um, until we just decided, you know what, this is it. You go your way, I go my way. But the Lord brought it back together, back together. So um, that is what he spoke to me about Wednesday when I was traveling, and he wanted me to share that with you all as well, to let you know that that just not only does it pertain to me, but it pertains to you all as well. And that is the same as when, the Lord restores relationship, whether it's with world relationships with family members, your mother, your sister, your brother. That is going to be a part of the process, but this one in particular is going to your first one will prepare you for what's to come. And He is preparing you, the Lord is. So, and even with counseling, the Lord puts resources um, around us for us to use them. And so don't be afraid to vent to your counselor. Don't be afraid to reach out to receive some counsel advice, whether it is from a pastor or, you know, a professional that, is in your community. Reach out, but only go if the Lord leads you. Also, don't, just take it upon yourself. My stomach is growling and my alarm is going off. But yeah, that's what he wanted me to share with you all. So of course, go back and read Genesis, the whole story about Joseph and his brothers, and allow the Lord to minister that to you. Take this word back to him. But yeah, that's all that he wanted me to share. I've gotten all three out, so I'm sure he will load me up with even more. But yeah, he was pushing me even last night, like, you know what you got to get done. So um, yeah, that is it for right now. Again, I don't know if he's gonna have me come back on here tonight, well today, but that's all he wanted me to share at this time. But I love you and the Lord loves you most. Bye.